So this video is on the review for slope, and there's 10 questions, 5 with 2 points and 5 with a graph. So if you haven't done this review yet, you need to stop the video and do it for yourself first, and then you can check yourself and watch the video for the solutions. So to check yourself, the answers are right here. So pause the video and grade yourself. If you got them all right, then you're probably ready for your test. Otherwise, you need to watch the video and figure out where you messed up. Okay, number 1. It says, find the slope between these 2 points, negative 20, 20, and negative 13, negative 12. Well, the very first thing that I need to do is label. I'm going to label my x's in red and my y's in green, just to give them a different color. So that way we know what we're looking at. So my y's are green and my x's are red. The formula for slope, which is m, is the change in y, change meaning difference, over the change in x. So I'm going to take the 2 y's and subtract them. Then I'm going to take the 2 x's and subtract them. It doesn't matter which way I subtract as long as I do them both the same. But a good rule of thumb is just to always do y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1, and that way you don't mess it up. So I got my subtraction. That's never going to change. So negative 12 minus 20. There's my top numbers. And I'll write my bottom ones in green, in red. So negative 13 minus 20. Okay, so now all we got to do is actually do the math, which we can even use our calculator. So negative 12 minus 20 is negative 32. And then negative 13 minus negative 20 is positive 7. So that's my answer. Don't forget, you can write a fraction with a negative sign 3 different ways, and all 3 ways are correct. You can write it like this with the negative at 32. You can write it like this with the negative at the 7. Or the most common way is out front. Notice that the negative's not really attached to either one, just kind of sitting out front, and this is the most common way. So let's find our answer. We got negative 32 over 7, and that would be C. All right, number 2. Number 2, the 2 points must really like negative 20. Negative 20, 16, and 12, 18. So I got my x's, I got my y's. I always write the formula down because that way I remember it. A lot of math is memorization, especially when it comes to formulas. So if all you ever do is look at a cheat sheet, you're never going to remember them. So you need to start writing them down, every problem, even though it's just a little bit annoying, but it only takes another 3 seconds. And then by the time that you're done with that concept, you have a really good chance of remembering that formula. So we got 18 and 16, and we're always subtracting. Okay. Then I got 12 and negative 20, and we're always subtracting. Well, the top one's really easy. 18 minus 16 is 2, and then the bottom one is also easy, but if you're not good at your integers, we'll do it in our calculator. So it's 12 minus negative 20. and it's positive 32. But here's the thing. They're both even. 2 is even and 32 is even. Anytime that both the numerator and the denominator are even, you know you can reduce it. It's easiest when they are even, because the easiest way to reduce a fraction is just to take half of each. Because it's even, we're going to take half of 2, which is 1, and half of 32, which is 16. That's as low as it can go, because one of the rules of reducing fractions is if it has a 1 in the denominator or the numerator, then you're done reducing. There's no more you can do. Another rule is if they're side by side on a number line. I'll show you an example. So like 2/3, that's done. 4/5, 6/7, 7/8. If they're side by side, like 2 and 3 are side by side on a number line, and 4 and 5, 6, they can't be reduced any more than that. So those are two good ways to know whether you're done reducing. If it has a 1 in it, that's it, you're done. And that is letter A. All right, number 3. I got -9, -13, and then I have -2, +4. So I'm going to write my labels on top. I had to think for a minute. Okay. And again, I'm going to write the formula, which is the change in y over the change in x. I'm going to put my minus signs in. So I have 4 minus -13. Then I have -2 minus -9. And I'm just going to put these in my calculator. So 4 minus -13 is +17. And that makes sense because when you have double negatives side by side, they really cancel each other out. So you really just have 4 plus 13, which is 17. Then down here, these two negatives are going to cancel each other out, and you have +9 and -2, which is +7. 17 and 7 have no common factors, so this is as good as it gets. That is reduced, and that would be A. All right. Number 4. You have -11, -10, -5, and 20. Okay. I don't remember the color. I think I chose red for X. I don't want to confuse you. All right. Hopefully by now you know what I'm going to write, and you're writing it too. So y2 is 20 minus y1, which is -10. x2 is -5 minus x1, which is -11. And now I'm just going to do the math. Double negatives will cancel each other out. So at the top, I got 20 plus 10, which is 30. And then the bottom, 11 plus -5 is 6. These are both even, so I'm going to take half of each. Half of 30 is 15, and half of 6 is 3. But 15 divided by 3 is actually a whole number. So 15 divided by 3 is 5, or 5 over 1. Because slope is actually one of those ones where a lot of times they'll leave it improper. So we could either see this as our answer or this. But they keep it as a whole number, and it's B. All right, number 5. Eight comma 1, negative 8 comma 8. So I got x1, x2, y1, y2. So I have 8 minus 1 and negative 8 minus 8. Well, 8 minus 1 is easy. That's 7. Negative 8 minus 8, I get negative 8, and then I go 8 more into the negatives. So now I'm going to be at negative 16. Don't forget, I can leave it like this, or I can move my negative up, or I can leave it out front, which is how they usually write it. This is the normal way. So negative 7/16, which is letter C. All right, now I need to actually use the paper because we're dealing with graphs. All right, don't forget, if we were a car and we were going from point A to point B and we couldn't take this route, we'd have to go over and up, which is what we're going to do. We're going to figure out how far we had to go over and how far we had to go up. Don't forget, another way to say slope is rise over run. The first question you can ask yourself is this a positive slope or is this a negative slope? And this is a positive slope. It's going uphill. Uphill, okay? So these are not possible. The two negatives, you can just cross those out. There's no chance it's one of those two answers. This is a positive slope. All right, so how far do I have to run? 1, 2, 3, 4. How far do I have to go up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And always count the jumps. Don't count lines or anything like that. A lot of times kids will get it wrong because they count lines. It's really spaces. You count spaces, not lines. So 7 over 4, that is the slope, which is A. All right, number 2. This is another positive slope. Positive. Going uphill. Like you would want sales to increase. So increase, positive. So we can just cancel out these. There's no chance that's the answer. So let's figure out how far do I have to go over? Well, let's see. I'm going to jump. So 1, 2, 3. So let me write it over here. I run 3. And I rise 3. Well, 3 over 3 is 1, which is the slope, which is C. All right, number 8. Okay, so there's 2 of the special cases when it comes to slope. This is not positive or negative. This is one of those special cases. This is a horizontal line. So we know already that it can't be this and it can't be that because it's not a positive slope and it's not a negative slope. It's one of these 2. So if you remember from the video, the way that I teach my students to memorize which is which is pretend you're sled riding on a flat surface like this. That would be no fun, right? That would be 0 fun. So this slope is 0. And the vertical line would go with the undefined. Horizontal is 0 and vertical is undefined. Horizontal, 0. Also, if you want to think about it, horizontal has an O in it. In fact, it has two O's in it, where vertical does not have any O's in it. So zeros, O's, that can be another way to memorize it. But it really is a memory thing. All right, number 9. This is another positive slope. So we can go ahead and cancel out these two. And I'm going to go over and up. So how far did I have to go over? 1, 2, 3. So I run 3 and I rise 1, 2. So the slope is 2/3, which is C. All right, we didn't have any negative slopes here. This is another positive slope. So we can cancel out A and C. There's no way that it's either of those. So I'm going to draw my route. And I'm going to figure out how I had to get there. Okay, so I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I had to rise 1, 2, 3. Well, 3/6 is a reducible fraction. 3 is not even, but they both can be divided by 3. And 3/6 is 1/2. And if you weren't sure how to do that, if you, if you need a calculator to do your fractions for you, let me show you how to use this calculator. So the very first thing you're going to do is hit the fraction button. And it's going to give you two little blocks. You're going to put 3 on the top and 6 on the bottom. And then hit your arrow key to where you're on the right hand side. Now you're going to tell it to simplify right here, simplify, and hit enter. And then it does the reducing for you. So just in case you're not good at reducing fractions, you do have tools to help you, and you should use them because that's what they're there for. All right, so that's it for slope. You need to be able to find slope from a graph and find slope from 2 points. If you need help, as always, ask for help.